Hello children, in this video number 3, I will be taking the topic immune system coming under the same chapter, human health and diseases. You all very well know what is immunity. Immunity is the ability of the host to fight against disease causing organisms, and this ability is conferred by the immune system. So today let us analyze the components of the immune system. Just as you have learned down in the 9th standard the hierarchy in the organization in the living system, let us connect with it. We know organisms comprises a number of systems, systems comprises organs, organs comprises tissues, tissues comprises cells, and cells produce certain products. So similar to that, I am going to give you the immune system. So the system is the immune system, that is the system that is imparting immunity to our body. Then the organs, as I told you, the hierarchy system comprises organs, organs comprise tissues, tissues comprise cells, and cells have certain products that are produced which are useful. The organs are the lymphoid organs, the tissues are the lymphoid tissues, cells are the lymphocytes, and the products of these lymphocytes are the antibodies. So once again, the system is the immune system. The organs that are comprising in the immune system are the lymphoid organs, and these lymphoid organs consist of the tissues called the lymphoid tissues, and these lymphoid tissues produces the cells called lymphocytes, and the lymphocytes produce certain proteins called antibodies. So the lymphoid organs. The lymphoid organs are categorized into two types: primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs. Lymphoid tissues, the abbreviation is MALT. It is a standardized abbreviation, so you can also use MALT, which stands for mucus associated lymphoid tissues. Mucus associated lymphoid tissues, where are they found? We know which and all tracts have the mucus lining: the respiratory tract, the digestive tract, and the urogenital tract is lined by mucus. So that constitute MALT, that is mucus associated lymphoid tissue. Lymphocytes. There are two lymphocytes, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Remember, both are produced by the bone marrow, but some remain in the bone marrow and the others move to the thymus, and hence the ones which remain in the bone marrow are called B lymphocytes, and the others that migrate to the thymus are called the T lymphocytes. That's why they are getting the name B and T lymphocytes. Once again, both are produced in the bone marrow. We know what is bone marrow. When I deal with lymphoid organs, I will be dealing that in detail. So as of now, you remember, both are originating in the bone marrow, but some remain in the bone marrow, the others migrate to the thymus, and in the thymus they mature. The ones which goes to the thymus and remains in the thymus where they mature and do their function is known as the T lymphocytes, and the others which are remaining in the bone marrow are called the B lymphocytes. Now the antibodies, the different types of antibodies are IgA, IgE, IgG, IgM, and IgD. Of these 5 antibodies, the 12th standard NCERT textbooks makes a mention of 2 of these antibodies in 2 different chapters. So I bring these 2 antibodies with their role. IgA is present in the colostrum of the mother's milk. The breast milk, the initial stages is slightly yellowish in color and thick. That milk is called colostrum. It is rich in IgA. It provides immunity to the newborn. IgE is produced as a defense mechanism during allergic reactions. When we have an allergy, Ig is released. So these two are mentioned in the syllabus. So that's why I mentioned it here, the role of these two immunoglobulins, IgA and IgE. So once again, a recap of the immune system. Like any other system, it comprises organs, organs comprise tissues, tissues comprise cells, and cells have certain products. So like that, I am going with the immune system. The immune system comprises the lymphoid organs. The lymphoid organs comprises the lymphoid tissues. Lymphoid tissues have the lymphocytes, and the products of the lymphocytes are antibodies. Now, the lymphoid organs, there are two categories of lymphoid organs: primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs. Lymphoid tissues. The lymphoid tissue is MALT, mucus associated lymphoid tissues. As I told you, it lines the respiratory tract, the digestive tract, and the urogenital tract, lining three different tracts: the respiratory tract, digestive tract, and the urogenital tract. Lymphocytes, there are mainly two lymphocytes, B and T. And why are they getting the name? How they get the name B and T? Though both the T and B lymphocytes are produced in the bone marrow, some remains there, they are called the B lymphocytes. The others that migrate to the thymus and do their function there in the thymus are called the T lymphocytes. Okay, so that's why they get the name B and T lymphocytes. Then the antibodies. Antibodies are the products we know of the B lymphocytes, not of the T. B lymphocytes, the products are the antibodies. There are 5 types of antibodies, namely IgA, IgE, IgG, IgM and IgD. And IgA, we have learned, it is present in the colostrum of mother's breast milk. It is rich in this IgA, that is colostrum, and it helps in providing immunity to the newborn child. IgE is produced at the time of allergic reaction. Clear? Now we are going into the details of lymphoid organs. Lymphoid organs are the organs where lymphocytes originates, matures, interacts with the antigens and proliferates into effector cells. I have given this abbreviation so that you will never forget these 4 important processes. O stands for originates, M stands for matures, I stands for interacts. Interacts with what? Interacts with antigens. And P stands for proliferates. They proliferate into effector cells. So the general definition for lymphoid organs are: lymphoid organs are organs where lymphocytes originates, matures, interacts with antigens and proliferates into effector cells. Now I have left a gap between OM and IP because the first 2 events occur in the primary lymphoid organs and the last 2 events occur in the secondary lymphoid organs. That's why I have bifurcated it. But when you give the general definition, you have to give all the 4 processes at a stretch. Once again, I am reiterating what are lymphoid organs. Organs where lymphocytes originates, matures, interacts with antigens and proliferates into effector cells. Now let us analyze primary lymphoid organs. So this side is the primary lymphoid organs and this side I have specified secondary lymphoid organs. So now I am going to redefine what is primary lymphoid organ. Organs where, again the frame of the sentence is the same, but only you are taking the first part. Organs where lymphocytes originates and matures. Now when you mention matures, what do they mature into? Here the process is differentiation. You have learnt in 11th standard. They differentiates into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. So, once again when you say about maturation, you must say into what do they mature. They mature by differentiating into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. So, I am again reiterating the definition for primary lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs are organs where lymphocytes originates, that is they are formed, and matures. When you specify matures, you must say into what they mature into. That is, they mature by which process? By differentiating into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. So, here also I have given an abbreviation that you will never forget, ASL. They differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. And the example for primary lymphoid organs are thymus and bone marrow. Now, see the thymus. We know thymus when you learn the endocrine glands. We have learnt a gland which is a lobe like structure found in the chest region near the heart below the breastbone. Okay. And the specialty of this is it is present at the time of birth, but as you grow and reach childhood, late childhood, by puberty, it decreases and sometimes disappears. But it is very important because it helps in the immune system. Okay. So, once again, it is lobe like structure behind or below the breastbone near the heart in the chest region. It is called the primary lymphoid organ. Next, bone marrow. We know what is the bone marrow. It is a spongy tissue found in the long bones, inside the long bones. And the function of the bone marrow is that they produce the RBCs, WBCs and platelets. The formed elements of our blood, namely RBCs, WBCs and platelets are produced in the bone marrow. So, we can call them the stem cells of the formed elements. Clear? So, these are the primary lymphoid organs, and you know the function. These are the organs where the lymphocytes originates and matures. And when you are saying maturation, please specify what is the maturation here. Differentiating into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. I hope you are clear with primary lymphoid organs. Next, moving on to secondary lymphoid organs. Now, after maturation or after differentiating into ASL, that is antigen sensitive lymphocytes, these lymphocytes, what happens is they migrate. See, I am putting an arrow. They migrate from the primary lymphoid organs to the secondary lymphoid organs. So, they were there in the primary lymphoid organs, now they migrate to the secondary lymphoid organs, where they interact. See, I stands for interact with the antigens and proliferates into effector cells. So, how you will define secondary lymphoid organs? You have to have a continuation with the primary lymphoid organs. So, after maturation, the lymphocytes migrate to the secondary lymphoid organs, and these secondary lymphoid organs provides the site for interacting with antigens, and they finally proliferate into effector cells. So, remember IP, interact with antigens and proliferates into effector cells. But to start off with secondary lymphoid organs, you cannot just say secondary lymphoid organs are organs where the lymphocytes interact with antigens and proliferates into effector cells. You have to have a continuity with the primary lymphoid organ. So, you have to say after maturation. So, by that way you have to define, because it is in continuity with the primary lymphoid organ. So, how you will define secondary lymphoid organs? After maturation, the lymphocytes migrates to the secondary lymphoid organs, where they interact with antigens and proliferate into effector cells. Clear? So, every verb, which word? Verb is very important. So, I am introducing the verb migrate here. Clear? So, you will not skip. So, for primary lymphoid organ, remember OM, originates, matures. For secondary lymphoid organ, which you will remember IP, interacts and proliferates. But you should not even forget this migrates. M stands for migrates. From the primary lymphoid organ, they migrate to secondary lymphoid organs. Now, examples for secondary lymphoid organs. There are a number of examples. The 5 examples listed in our text are spleen, tonsils, Peyer's patches, appendix, and last the lymph nodes. Spleen. Spleen is located on the left side near the stomach. See, if I am zooming, see the location of the spleen. It is a bean shaped structure. See, look at the structure of spleen. It is bean shaped structure located to the left side of the stomach in the lower abdomen. Clear? On the left side. Okay. And the spleen is very, very important. It comprises lymphocytes, phagocytes, and also it is a reservoir of dead RBCs. In that context, we call spleen the graveyard of RBCs, because we know the lifespan of the RBC is just 120 days. After 120 days, where do they get collected or stored? They get stored in the spleen. So, it is like a cemetery. That is why it is called the graveyard of erythrocytes. Besides that, spleen has defense role. That is, they have lymphocytes as well as they have phagocytes. And very, very important is microbes that are circulating in our blood, that are present in our blood, are trapped by the spleen. So, remember, very, very important, they trap the microbes that are circulating in our blood. Next we have the tonsils. Tonsils are spongy, oval, pad-like tissue found on the back side of your throat. There are a pair of them at the back side of our throat. They also serve as secondary lymphoid organs. They are very important. But in some cases, it gets inflamed, and that processes and that situation is known as tonsillitis. See, the inflamed tonsils, swollen tonsils. Okay, under normal conditions, very small. Okay, that's also very important. It is a secondary lymphoid organ. So, you understood the location of the tonsils. A pair of them are found at the back of our throat. Next, secondary lymphoid organ is the Peyer's patches. So, these are patches of lymphoid tissues which are located in the small intestine, mainly in the ileum of the small intestine. See, I have taken a cross section showing a small patch of this Peyer's patches, lymphoid organ. Okay, they are found in the small intestine, and especially which part of the small intestine? The ileum. The next lymphoid organ is the appendix. It is called vermiform appendix because it is worm-like appendage. It is like a finger-like process found at the junction between the small intestine and the large intestine. See, this is an appendix or vermiform appendix. It is a vestigial organ. We can live without this. When we have appendicitis, this is removed. But this has a role. Though we say it is vestigial, here also it serves as a secondary lymphoid organ, that is, provides the environment for IP, interaction and proliferation. Okay, so what is the appendix? It is a finger-like process found found at the junction between the small intestine and large intestine. And last, we have the lymph nodes. We know a number of lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic system comprises a number of lymphatic vessels which are studded with solid globular structures called the lymph nodes. The lymph nodes contains lymphocytes, and the role of the lymph nodes is they trap the microbes that have entered the lymph. You know what is lymph? It is a tissue fluid. Okay, so if there is any microbe that has entered the lymph, it is trapped by the lymph nodes. Similar to spleen. Spleen traps the microbes that have entered the blood, whereas lymph nodes traps the microbes that have entered the lymph. So, these two are very important because these two are found in the two tissues, two fluids. That is, one is the microbes present in the blood is trapped by spleen, whereas the microbes present in the lymph is trapped by the lymph nodes. So, they are very, very important. We know the two tissue fluids, blood and lymph. Blood passes through blood vessels and lymph passes through lymphatic vessels. Blood is colored red, whereas lymph is colorless, and lymph is also known as a tissue fluid. Okay, but there's infections, both can be invaded by microbes. So the microbes that are circulating the blood should be trapped. They are trapped by the spleen, and the microbes that are present in the lymph are trapped by the lymph nodes. So these are very, very important. So remember the two fluids where in which the microbes that are circulating can be trapped. If it's blood, it is trapped by the spleen, and if the microbes are present in the lymph, it's trapped by the lymph nodes. Once again, lymph nodes are globular or solid structures found throughout the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system comprises a number of lymph vessels. See in green, the lymphatic vessels with a number of these solid structures which filter the microbes. And also these lymph nodes like spleen contains lymphocytes. So a recap of lymphoid organs. Lymphoid organs, general statement or general definition for lymphoid organs are organs where lymphocytes originates, matures, interacts with antigens and proliferate into effector cells. So these are the four very important functions occurring in a lymphoid organ. Now next, lymphoid organs are classified into primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs. So what are primary lymphoid organs? So the first part, primary lymphoid organs are the organs where the lymphocytes originates and matures. Please specify what is the maturation. That is, they differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. And the examples for primary lymphoid organs are thymus and bone marrow. Location of thymus. Thymus are lobe-like endocrine glands present in the chest region below the breastbone near the heart. Bone marrow are the spongy tissue present in the long bones. Clear? Secondary lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs are organs where the lymphocytes after maturation in the primary lymphoid organs, they migrate. So very important, they migrate to these secondary lymphoid organs, or these secondary lymphoid organs provide a site where they interact with antigens and proliferate into effector cells. Clear? So IP is connected with secondary lymphoid organs, and the different secondary lymphoid organs are spleen, tonsils, Peyer's patches, appendix and lymph nodes. Now location. Spleen is a bean-shaped structure located to the located to the left side of the stomach. Tonsils. Tonsils are a pair of spongy pad-like structure located at the back of your throat. Peyer's patches are patches of lymphoid organs in the intestine, especially in the ileum, and they are lining the mucosa. We know the innermost lining is the mucosa. So spread across the mucosa is these patches in the ileum of the small intestine. Appendix, it's a finger-like process found at the junction between the small intestine and the large intestine. And lastly, the lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are solid structures which are found in the lymphatic vessels. Very, very important, spleen traps the microbes circulating in the blood, whereas lymph nodes traps the microbes circulating in the lymph. Clear? Now besides that, spleen has lymphocytes, phagocytes, and they are the graveyard of RBCs. What about lymph nodes? They have lymphocytes. I hope you have understood this topic, and the other portions have already dealt in the introduction itself. After lymphoid organs is the lymphoid tissues, that is MALT, mucus associated lymphoid tissue, which is lining the respiratory tract, digestive tract and urogenital tract. Then I told you about the lymphocytes, the two types of lymphocytes, B and T. How are they getting the name? B is getting the name bone marrow and T is getting the name thymus, but it's not be misleading, both are produced in the bone marrow. Some remain in the bone marrow and the others move to the thymus where they mature. And antibodies, we have learnt in the previous video, the B only has the ability to produce antibodies, and the 5 types of antibodies are IgA, IgE, IgG, IgM and IgD. IgA present in colostrum, IgE present during allergic reactions. And talking about the T lymphocytes, they help the B to recognize self and non-self during organ transplant. The T is activated, they recognize self from non-self and help the B to produce antibodies. So with this, immune system is complete. I hope you have understood this concept. Thank you.